Today, we're diving into a book that's about 2,000 years old, but somehow it feels like it was written just for us, right now. We're talking about Seneca's Letters from a Stoic.
No, really. Just think about that for a second. Between the constant notifications, the 24/7 news cycle, and just all the pressures of life, where do you even start to find a little bit of peace? It's a question we all wrestle with, but turns out we're not the first generation to feel this way. Not by a long shot.
These words come from Seneca. He was a Roman statesman and a philosopher who saw it all. We're talking political chaos, exile, incredible wealth, you name it. And through it all, he was on this quest for an unshakable inner calm. He wrote down everything he learned in a series of letters to his good friend Lucilius. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to unpack this incredible guide. We'll look at why Seneca even wrote these letters. We'll break down the core tools from his Stoic philosophy, see how you can actually use them when life throws you a curveball, and figure out why his advice still hits so hard today. Let's get into it. All right, first things first, this is not some stuffy, dense philosophy textbook. You really need to think of it more like a series of personal emails or coaching sessions between a mentor, that's Seneca, and his friend, Lucilius. So in these 124 letters, each one tackles a really specific problem. Like, how do you handle grief? How do you manage your anger? How do you face fear? Or just find a sense of purpose? It's all incredibly practical and personal. Seneca isn't just floating around in the clouds with abstract ideas. He's giving real-world advice for living a better, more resilient life. Now, to really get what Seneca's talking about, you have to picture his world. I mean, he was living under emperors like Caligula and Nero. This was a time of wild unpredictability and, frankly, a lot of danger. For him, philosophy wasn't just some academic hobby. It was a survival tool. And it's really tempting to look back and call Seneca some kind of ancient self-help guru, but that's not the whole story. He was a serious intellectual, totally immersed in the biggest philosophical debates of his time. Yeah, Seneca wasn't just writing in a bubble. He was constantly putting Stoic ideas to the test against other schools of thought. He'd even borrow ideas from his rivals, like the Epicureans, if he thought they had a good point. And he wasn't afraid to critique his own Stoic heroes if he thought they were getting too abstract. At the end of the day, he was always searching for one thing: what works in real life. These letters were basically his laboratory for finding practical wisdom. So, what are these core ideas Seneca keeps coming back to? Let's open up the Stoic toolkit and look at the essential gear for building a truly resilient mind. Okay, the first and biggest tool is this idea of virtue. Now, for a Stoic, virtue is the only thing that's truly good. And this isn't about being some kind of perfect saint. It's about developing an excellent inner character. Things like courage, justice, wisdom, and self-control. It's all about strengthening your own reason so you can live in a way that's, rational and helpful to others. And this is where it gets really interesting. The Stoics make this brilliant distinction. Everything that isn't virtue, so things like money, health, your reputation, even life itself, they call these externals. The key is these things aren't good or bad. They're neutral. They're just the raw material life hands you, and your job is to use that material to practice virtue. Which leads us to maybe the most practical tool of them all, the dichotomy of control. It's so simple. You just focus all your energy on what you can actually control, your thoughts, your actions, how you choose to respond, and you learn to accept everything you can't. Think about it. You can't control the traffic jam, but you can control how you react to it. You can't control the economy, but you can control your financial decisions. It sounds basic, but when you really start living this way, it's an absolute game changer. So how does all this actually work when things get tough? It's one thing to talk about these ideas when everything's fine, but what happens when disaster strikes? This is the question Seneca was obsessed with. How do we face misfortune without completely falling apart? This quote right here gets to the very heart of the Stoic mindset. Fortune or fate or just bad luck, it can take away your job, your money, your health, but it can never, ever touch your character. Hardship isn't something to just be afraid of. It's a chance to show what you're made of. Seneca loved using real-life examples, and his hero was this guy, Cato the Younger. Whether Cato was dealing with a minor political setback or a catastrophic defeat in a civil war, a defeat that would literally lead to his death, his response was always the same: calm, rational, and completely unshaken. He was living proof that what happens on the outside doesn't have to dictate what's going on inside. And this gets us to the Stoic process, which is so important.
They are not emotionless robots. Seneca is super clear on this. When something bad happens, you will feel fear. Your hands might tremble. You might feel pain. That's just your body doing its thing. The trick is to not let those physical feelings hijack your mind. You acknowledge the feeling, but then you use your reason to choose a wise response instead of just getting dragged down by it.
So why are we still talking about this guy 2,000 years later? I think it's because his #1 mission was to make philosophy useful. He wasn't interested in abstract puzzles that have no bearing on real life. He famously said he tries to dig something useful out of every single notion. He believed that philosophy's whole point was to give you actual tools to navigate the beautiful mess of being human. And honestly, that's a mission that never gets old. Seneca also pointed out a problem that is just as true today as it was back then. Most of us aren't really free. He'd argue that some people are slaves to their cravings, others are slaves to their ambition and need for status, and pretty much all of us are slaves to fear. Real freedom for Seneca is internal. It's about becoming the master of yourself. Okay, so let's pull all of this together. Why should you, living your life in the 21st century, actually pick up these ancient letters? What's the real payoff for you?
I just love this analogy Seneca uses. He says, think about what makes a ship a good ship. It's not the expensive paint job or the fancy trim, right? It's how it performs in a storm. Is it sturdy? Can it be steered through rough seas? Well, he says people are the exact same way. It's not about your external status or how you look. It's about the strength and stability of your character when things get rough.
And that's the bottom line.
If you take just one thing away from all of Stoicism, it's this. You can't always control what life throws at you, but you can always control how you choose to respond. That power, that freedom is always yours. So I'll leave you with this question. Whether it's something big at work, a tough relationship, or just that low-level hum of modern anxiety, what's the storm you're facing right now? Maybe, just maybe, this 2,000-year-old guide has the map you've been looking for.